Light exposure during sleep may increase insulin resistance. Chronic overnight light exposure could have long-term effects on metabolic function. June 4, 2018 article on American Academy of Sleep Science. According to preliminary results from a new study, nighttime light exposure during sleep may affect metabolic function. The aim of the study was to test the hypothesis that light exposure at night during sleep adversely impacts metabolic outcomes. According to a preliminary test from a new study, nighttime light exposure during sleep may affect metabolic function. The aim of the study was to test the hypothesis that light exposure at night during sleep adversely impacts metabolic outcomes. Quote, our preliminary findings show that a single night of light exposure during sleep actually impacts measures of insulin resistance, said lead author Ivy Chung Mason, PhD, who was a postdoctoral fellow at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine when the study was conducted. Quote, light exposure overnight during sleep has been shown to disrupt sleep, but these data indicate that it may also have the potential to influence metabolism. In addition to Mason, the study authors include Phyllis C. Z., MD, PhD professor and principal investigator, Daniela Grimaldi, MD, PhD assistant professor, Catherine J. Reed, PhD professor, and Ronald Malkali, MD, assistant professor, all work at Feinberg School of Medicine in the Department of Neurology. 20 health adults aged 18 to 40 were randomized into dark or dark light groups and run in parallel for a 3-week day-to-night stay. For a 3-day and 2-night stay. Participants had 8 hours of sleep opportunity each night, starting at habitual bedtime determined from 1 week of actigraphy with sleep diary. The DL, that's the dark light group, N equals 10, 2 males, ages 26.61, plus or minus 4.64 years, sleep in the dark, 3 lights on, night 1, and slept in overhead room light of 100 lights on night 2, while the DD, the dark group, number was 10, 4 males, aged 26.75, plus or minus 5.15 years, slept in the dark. Overnight polysomnography and hourly blood sampling for melatonin were collected on both nights. Oral glucose tolerance tests were performed on both morning following the sleep in the dark or light. Changes from day and night 1 and day and night 2 were examined between dark and dark light groups. Homeostatic model assessment of insulin resistance, change values were significantly higher in the morning following sleep in the light, which is dark light, compared to sleep in the dark. This effect was primarily due to increasing insulin levels for DL compared to DD groups. The results show that a single night of light exposure during sleep actually impacts measures of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is the diminished ability of cells to respond to insulin action, transporting glucose out of the bloodstream, and precedes the development of type 2 diabetes. Quote, these results are important given the increasingly widespread use of artificial light exposure, particularly at night, said Mason. The effects we see is acute. More research is needed to determine if chronic overnight light exposure during sleep has long-term cumulative effects on metabolic function. The research abstract was published recently on an online supplement of the journal Sleep and will be presented Monday, June 4th in Baltimore at Sleep 2018 and 32nd annual meeting of the Associated Professional Sleep Societies, which is a joint venture of the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and Sleep Research Society. This research was supported by the National Institutes of Health grants. Materials provided by American Academy of Sleep Medicine. Very interesting. So we have to sleep with as little light as possible. This is on Science Daily.